Chosen one, what if I told you that your silence was never just silence? It was never weakness. It was never an accident. Instead, it was a spiritual earthquake, a quiet but powerful shift that shattered illusions they never wanted you to see. What if the very thing they thought would break you only ended up breaking their control instead? You've walked a path few understand, enduring seasons of isolation, rejection, and doubt. But now, the truth they tried so hard to hide is finally coming to light. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Because what comes next will confirm everything you've always known deep inside. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to lead. Stay with me until the end, because this isn't just a message, it's a revelation. You were hidden to be revealed. Imagine what it feels like to walk through life knowing that there's something extraordinary inside you, but never having the chance to show it. You felt it, haven't you? That quiet tension, that deep longing to be seen, to be heard. You've wondered if anyone would ever truly notice what you carry. And yet, no matter how much effort you put in, no matter how brightly you tried to shine, it was as if the world had blinders on. You looked around and saw others being recognized, celebrated, elevated, while you stayed in the background, hidden in the shadows. At times, it felt as if the universe had overlooked you entirely. You began to question your worth, your purpose, and even your faith. But let me tell you something you may not have considered. You were never invisible to God. You were never forgotten. You were never lost in the shuffle. You were hidden for a reason. You were hidden to be revealed. This is not to say it wasn't painful. Being unseen can weigh heavily on your heart. You've had moments when the silence felt unbearable, when your efforts seemed futile, when you poured your soul into something only to have it met with indifference or rejection. You may have felt like a runner on an endless track, always moving but never arriving. And it's exhausting, isn't it? Carrying a dream that no one else seems to acknowledge. Waking up each day and wondering if all of this striving, all of this waiting, is leading anywhere. That kind of emotional toll is hard to put into words. It's not just the absence of recognition. It's the aching question of whether your gifts, your calling, your very being even matter. It's the struggle of knowing you're meant for more, but feeling stuck in a space where that more remains just out of reach. But what if this struggle, this season of being hidden, was never a mistake? What if it was all part of a divine design? In John 12 verse 24 we read, "Unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much grain." That verse doesn't just apply to grand gestures of sacrifice. It speaks to the quiet, unseen moments of growth as well. Seeds are planted in darkness, beneath the surface, far from the light. From the outside, it looks as though nothing is happening. But beneath the soil, there's transformation. Roots forming, nutrients gathering, life beginning to emerge. Your hidden season was like that seed's time in the earth. It wasn't about punishment. It wasn't about being overlooked. It was about preparation. In the silence, you were being shaped, refined, and strengthened. The waiting wasn't wasted time. It was the foundation for what's about to come. And now you're starting to feel it. The subtle shifts, the small breakthroughs. It's as if the ground above you is beginning to crack, and the first rays of light are breaking through. You're no longer entirely hidden. You can sense that something has changed. Maybe you've noticed that your perspective has deepened, that you handle setbacks differently, that you've grown stronger in ways you didn't expect. Perhaps opportunities are starting to appear, connections are forming, and the path ahead is coming into focus. It's as if the world is finally catching up to what you've known all along, that there's something unique and valuable within you. These are the signs that your time of emergence has begun. The divine timing is undeniable, aligning circumstances, energy, and opportunities in ways that can no longer be ignored. What's happening isn't just a coincidence. It's the result of divine intervention. While you felt hidden, higher forces were at work. God never forgot about you. On the contrary, He was carefully orchestrating events, aligning relationships, and opening doors that you couldn't have anticipated. That feeling of invisibility was never an indication of your worth. It was a necessary season of preparation so that, when the moment came, you would be ready to step into your calling with confidence and clarity. Your struggles weren't random. They were intentional. They were shaping you, not for a fleeting moment of recognition, but for a lasting, impactful role in the bigger picture. As you move forward, you'll see how every hidden moment was a step toward the revelation of your purpose. But understanding that is only the beginning. The real challenge now is embracing it. Many people resist this kind of divine change. They cling to their old ways of thinking, their old doubts, their fear of what lies ahead. It's easy to stay comfortable even in discomfort, but this moment calls for more than acknowledgement. It demands action. You must choose to let go of the fear that held you back, to accept the calling you've always sensed, and to fully embrace the path laid before you. This is a sacred moment, a moment of decision. It's the turning point where you move from being someone who waits to someone who steps boldly into the light. True alignment isn't just about recognizing the signs. It's about answering the call without hesitation. And now that you've reached this point, it's time to take that next step. You've been prepared for this. You've been refined, strengthened, and equipped. The waiting is over. The moment to rise is now. Whatever held you back, doubt, fear, hesitation, it no longer has power over you. You're ready to move forward with confidence, knowing that the same God who prepared you in the silence is walking with you into this new season. It's time to trust the process, to embrace your calling, and to step fully into your purpose. Everything you've experienced has brought you to this moment. Now it's time to act. You were never forgotten. You were never invisible. You were hidden to be revealed. The world can no longer deny what you carry. If this message resonates with you, comment "revealed" below. Let this truth settle into your spirit. This is your moment to rise, your moment to shine. The waiting is over. The emergence has begun. Your walk exposed their control. You might be feeling drained, wondering why things didn't change despite all the effort you put in. It's exhausting to pour your energy into situations, relationships, or systems that seem so deeply ingrained, so immovable. Perhaps you've wrestled with the frustration of giving so much, only to feel like your efforts were swallowed whole with no visible shift. There's a weariness that comes from always trying to adapt to their expectations, to meet their unspoken demands, to fit into a mold that was never designed for you. And it's no small thing to finally say, enough. When you decided to step away, you probably carried a mix of relief and uncertainty. But the moment you stopped participating, something incredible began to unfold. A shift you might not have anticipated, yet one that you'll soon see was inevitable. It's not easy to pull back from something that once defined so much of your life. There's a gravitational pull to familiarity, even when it's unhealthy or constraining. You may have spent years questioning your own instincts, second-guessing every step because their system told you to. Maybe you convinced yourself it was just how things worked, that you had to accept it, that there was no other way. But deep down, you knew. There were moments of clarity, flashes of insight where you realized the truth. They didn't have as much power as they wanted you to believe. It wasn't just about control, it was about the illusion of control. The weight you felt wasn't a reflection of their strength. It was a reflection of the energy you unknowingly gave them. Once you recognized this, it became impossible to stay. The act of walking away wasn't just a personal choice. It was a declaration, an act of defiance that set so much more into motion. And that's where the shift began. Revelation 18 verse 4 says, "Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins or contract any of her plagues." This passage isn't just about leaving a physical place. It's about withdrawing from a corrupted system, one that demands your loyalty at the cost of your peace. By stepping away, you did something powerful. You didn't just leave their world, you revealed its cracks. Without your participation, the structures they relied on started to show their flaws. What seemed unshakable became unstable. Their control depended on you believing the lie that they held all the cards. By walking away, you showed that their game only works when you play. This is the moment when illusion gives way to truth, when the veneer of power begins to peel back. As you step back, you may have noticed subtle changes at first, small cracks forming in their carefully constructed image. It could have been the way their confidence wavered, the way their words stumbled, or the way their narrative began to unravel. What once seemed solid now appears fragile. And as time went on, the ripples of your choice grew. Their system wasn't designed to withstand questions or absence. Your walk away wasn't just a quiet rebellion. It was a spark that lit a fire. Without the energy you once poured into their control, they had no choice but to face the emptiness within. You didn't have to fight them. You didn't have to shout. All you had to do was leave. And in doing so, you created a space where truth could emerge, unencumbered by their grasp. What's more, this shift wasn't just about you. Divine forces were at work, aligning events in ways you couldn't have planned. You might not have seen it at first, but as the cracks widened, you began to notice moments of unexpected clarity. Doors opening that you hadn't even knocked on. Synchronicities appeared, and you realized that your decision to leave wasn't just about escaping their control. It was about stepping into a greater alignment. The courage it took to walk away set things in motion. What once felt like chaos began to take shape. The path forward became clearer, not because you forced it, but because the higher power guiding you had been waiting for you to say yes to freedom. That freedom was always yours. It simply needed the room to manifest. And now, as the layers of control continue to fall away, you find yourself at a pivotal moment of self-realization. This is more than just seeing the cracks. It's about accepting the truth of who you are without their framework. Many struggle here because the unknown can be terrifying. It's easy to second-guess your choice, to wonder if stepping away was the right move. But this is where true transformation happens, not just recognizing that you were under control, but fully stepping into your identity as someone who is not bound by it. True alignment requires more than understanding. It requires embodiment. The signs are there. The path is opening. The only question now is, will you embrace it? Having made this choice, the next step is stepping fully into your new reality. This is your chance to let go of lingering doubt, to release any remaining fear, and to affirm your chosen identity. You don't have to look back anymore. The cracks you exposed are not your concern. They're simply evidence that their world can no longer hold you. What matters now is what you build, what you walk toward. This is your moment to deepen your spiritual practice, to trust the process fully, and to move forward with confidence. The power you thought they had over you has dissolved. The life you thought was unattainable is now within reach. This is your time to rise into your purpose, unshaken and free. The system you left behind is no longer your burden to bear. The control they once wielded is a shadow of its former self. What remains is the truth you've stepped into and the freedom you've claimed. If this message resonates with you, comment free below. Let this be your declaration, your confirmation that you've chosen a new path. The cracks you exposed are their undoing, but your walk forward is your victory. This isn't just about leaving something behind. It's about stepping into everything that was waiting for you all along. You didn't fight, you freed. You know the feeling, the pressure to stand your ground, the expectation that you have to shout to be heard or fight to be recognized. You may have felt that to break free from the people, systems, or situations that held you down, you needed to push harder, to prove yourself, to battle for every inch of progress. It's exhausting, the mental and emotional toll of constantly justifying your choices, defending your worth, or trying to force others to see your value can leave you feeling depleted, defeated, and unsure of what else you could possibly do. You've been taught that strength is shown through struggle, that power comes from fighting. But deep down, something in you always knew that wasn't the answer. The real power wasn't in how hard you could push back. It was in knowing when to walk away, when to rise above the noise. They expected a battle, but you didn't give them one. Instead, you chose something they never saw coming: peace. That choice wasn't easy. You probably questioned yourself countless times. When you decided not to engage, not to meet their energy with more of the same, you might have felt unsure or even scared. What if walking away made you look weak? What if choosing silence meant they would think they'd won? These doubts can be heavy, weighing on your heart and mind as you step out of the familiar rhythm of conflict. There's a kind of loneliness in making that shift, letting go of the patterns that once defined your interactions and trusting that a different way will lead to something better. But it's a necessary loneliness, a sacred stillness that allows you to find your true power. Instead of reacting, you created space to act with clarity. Instead of being pulled into their chaos, you stood firm in your peace. This approach may remind you of the story of Moses standing before Pharaoh. In Exodus 14 verse 14, the Lord tells the Israelites, "The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still." It's a counterintuitive directive. Why would stillness lead to victory? Yet that's exactly what happened. The Red Sea parted, not because the Israelites fought their way through, but because they trusted, stood firm, and allowed divine intervention to clear their path. When you chose not to fight, you weren't giving up. You were surrendering to a higher wisdom. You allowed your silence, your stillness, and your integrity to speak louder than any argument ever could. Like Moses before Pharaoh, your choice to stand in peace rather than conflict became a defining moment of freedom. The results may not have been immediate, but they were undeniable. Slowly, the walls began to crumble. Not because you tore them down, but because they couldn't stand without your participation. The more you stood in your truth, the more their power over you diminished. The more you chose integrity over anger, the more their narrative unraveled. By refusing to engage in their game, you exposed its flaws. The control they thought they had was built on your compliance, and when you stopped complying, their illusion of power began to fall apart. This wasn't just about walking away from a fight, it was about dismantling the system that demanded the fight in the first place. Your silence wasn't passive, it was active resistance. Your stillness wasn't submission, it was strength. What happened next was something you might not have expected. Others began to notice. Your choice to leave the fight, to choose peace over conflict, became a blueprint for freedom. Those who were still caught in the cycle of struggle looked at you and saw a way out. They saw that it was possible to rise above, to walk away, and to live without fear. You didn't just free yourself, you opened the door for others to follow. Like the parting of the Red Sea, your choice to stand still and let truth prevail cleared a path not just for you, but for those who were watching. Your courage showed them that they, too, could step out of the struggle and into freedom. But it wasn't just others who benefited. In the stillness, in the absence of conflict, you found yourself again. The energy that once went toward fighting was now yours to use for growth, healing, and alignment. The time that was once consumed by arguments or defending your worth became time to rediscover your purpose, to realign with what truly matters. By not giving them the fight they expected, you reclaimed your own life. Your peace became your power. Your stillness became your strength. The decision not to fight didn't make you weak, it made you unstoppable. You were no longer bound by their expectations or their games. You were free to be fully yourself. Now, you stand on the other side of that choice. They never saw it coming. They thought you needed them, that their power defined you. But you proved them wrong. You didn't fight, but you won. You didn't shout, but you were heard. And in your silence, your truth became undeniable. Your peace wasn't just a refuge, it was a revolution. By choosing stillness, you demonstrated a different kind of strength. A strength that comes from knowing who you are, trusting your path, and allowing divine wisdom to lead the way. You are living proof that the most powerful battles are won not with fists or words, but with a quiet, unshakable certainty. You didn't fight, you freed. The shift has begun, and you sparked it. You've sensed it for some time now, haven't you? That subtle yet undeniable shift in the air, as if something monumental is quietly building. You may not be able to pinpoint when it started, but you feel it in your bones. Things are no longer as they were. You've been through a lot to get here. There have been moments when you felt small, unheard, even powerless. But lately, it's as though the ground beneath your feet is beginning to rumble. You're no longer willing to accept the old patterns, the old lies, the old ways of being. The world around you is shifting, and here's the remarkable part. It started with you. Not long ago, you faced a kind of internal battle. You struggled with the weight of what you saw and what you knew. There was a time when you couldn't quite put words to it, when you doubted your own perception. You wondered if you were imagining things, if you were the only one who saw through the illusions that everyone else seemed to accept. That doubt was heavy. It left you questioning your path, questioning whether the truth you carried was too much to bear. Yet, somewhere deep inside, you knew you couldn't ignore it. You couldn't keep quiet about what felt so profoundly real. That was the hardest part. acknowledging that the world you once trusted wasn't what it seemed, and that staying silent would only deepen the chains that bound you. But then, something shifted. It wasn't a single moment, but a series of realizations that finally brought you clarity. As you began to step back and see the bigger picture, a divine pattern emerged. Isaiah 61 verse 1 resonates deeply here. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to those who are bound. You weren't just imagining things. You weren't mistaken. Your calling was real, your understanding was accurate, and your courage to step into that truth was part of a greater plan. The whispers you once heard within your own heart were now growing into something much louder. A collective awakening, sparked by the decision you made to live in truth. And as you took those first steps into your authentic self, the world began to reflect that change back to you. Small, almost imperceptible shifts started appearing. People who once dismissed you began to ask questions. Circumstances that seemed set in stone began to crack. Opportunities emerged where there had been none. What started as a personal journey became something much larger. It's as if your own transformation created a ripple effect, causing others to question their own situations and choices. The energy around you shifted, and the barriers that once felt unbreakable began to crumble. You didn't just move forward, you brought others with you, even without realizing it. But make no mistake, this wasn't merely your doing. Behind every step you took, there was a higher power guiding you, aligning events in ways you couldn't have orchestrated on your own. What once seemed like coincidences now feel like divine timing. That shift you sparked wasn't just your own strength, it was the result of a divine partnership. Faith and obedience work hand in hand, and as you walked in faith, doors opened that you hadn't even knocked on. The path became clearer because it was being prepared for you all along. This was never just about you. It was about the countless lives your journey would touch, the countless hearts that would be freed by the example you set. This is a profound moment of realization. You're seeing the ripple effects of your courage, but now you must fully embrace what you've started. Many people hesitate at this stage. They see the signs, they feel the shift, but they hold back. They question if they're truly ready, if they can handle what comes next. But here's the truth. You've already proven that you're ready. By taking that first step, by choosing to live authentically, you've already overcome the hardest part. Now it's about stepping fully into that reality. The transformation isn't just happening around you, it's happening within you. You've gone from questioning your path to walking it confidently. Now it's time to fully embody the change you've initiated. From this point forward, let this shift propel you into your next chapter. The time for hesitation is over. You've seen the signs, you've felt the alignment, and now it's time to own your place in this movement. Trust that the work you've done, both within yourself and in the world around you, was not in vain. Release any lingering doubt, any fear that held you back in the past. Step boldly into your role, knowing that you are supported by forces greater than you. Your courage has set the stage, and now it's time to take the next step. Whether that means deepening your spiritual practice, sharing your truth with others, or fully embracing your purpose, the shift you've sparked will carry you forward. This is your moment. The shift has begun, and you've been an integral part of it. You didn't just walk into a new chapter. You opened the door for countless others. Let that truth anchor in your spirit. The awakening you felt within yourself is now spreading far beyond you, touching lives in ways you may never fully see. Comment shift if this message resonates with you. This isn't just the beginning of something new. It's the continuation of a journey you were always meant to walk. The shift is here and it's yours. You are the living prophecy. You've felt the weight of their expectations for far too long. Every step you took outside their control came with resistance, spoken and unspoken, visible and unseen. They tried to make you believe you couldn't walk away, that if you left, you'd lose everything. It's a heavy burden to carry, living under someone else's idea of who you should be. The thought of breaking free can seem impossible at times, as though the chains are too strong and the price of freedom too high. Yet here you are, having done the one thing they never thought you could. You stepped away. And now, the very things they feared the most are beginning to unfold. not because of what you said, but because of who you are. You are the living embodiment of a truth they can no longer suppress, a walking declaration of freedom and divine purpose. The struggle to leave wasn't just external, it was deeply personal. The fears they planted in your mind ran deep. They made you question your own strength, your worth, your ability to stand on your own. It wasn't just their words. It was the subtle, persistent pressure, the countless little ways they tried to make you feel small. You might recall nights when doubt kept you awake, mornings when you hesitated to rise, moments when their voices in your head seemed louder than your own. This was not a quick battle. It was an emotional and spiritual wrestling match, one that left you feeling drained and uncertain. Yet something inside you refused to let go of the idea that there was more for you. That inner knowing, the whisper of something greater, kept pushing you forward, even when the odds felt stacked against you. And then, slowly, a turning point emerged. At first, it may have been a single thought or a brief moment of clarity. Then it became more, a series of events that started to peel back the layers of their influence. You began to see their fear for what it truly was, a desperate attempt to maintain control over something they never really owned. Isaiah 55 verse 11 offers profound reassurance here. So shall my word be that goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish what I please, and it shall prosper in the thing for which I sent it. This promise reminded you that your life was not shaped by their limitations, but by a divine intention. Their fears could never change the truth of who you are. The illusion they worked so hard to maintain began to crumble, not because you tore it down, but because your very presence, your decision to step into the fullness of who you were created to be, rendered it powerless. And now, the transformation is undeniable. The peace you carry, the steadiness in your walk, it speaks volumes. You didn't need to shout. You didn't need to argue or plead your case. Your actions, your decisions, your quiet strength became the loudest statement of all. They feared what would happen if you left, and now those fears are becoming their reality. You aren't fighting them, yet their grip is slipping. You aren't attacking them, yet their walls are falling. You have become a mirror, reflecting back to them their own insecurities and showing them that their power was never as absolute as they believed. In their efforts to keep you bound, they only revealed how bound they were to their need for control. And in your freedom, you've exposed their illusion. But this isn't just about them. It's about you stepping fully into the truth of your identity. Their fear of your freedom only highlights the magnitude of your calling. The peace you now walk in is not just a personal victory. It's a testament to the divine work being done in your life. You've become a living prophecy, a fulfillment of promises spoken long before they ever tried to define you. The power they tried to hold over you was never real. What's real is the power that resides within you, the purpose you carry, and the divine plan that continues to unfold. What's real is the freedom you've claimed and the impact you're making simply by walking in that truth. At this moment, you have a choice. Do you step into this new reality fully, or do you hold back out of habit or fear? Some resist even after breaking free, clinging to old patterns because they feel familiar. But this is your sacred moment of realization. It's time to let go of any lingering doubt, to embrace the transformation that has already begun. To live as a living prophecy means fully accepting that you are no longer bound by their illusions, that your identity is not determined by their fears. This is a moment of deep awareness, a turning point that calls for courage and conviction. You've been given the freedom you fought so hard for. Now it's time to walk in it boldly. The next steps are yours to take. There's no need to look back, no reason to engage in their games. Your path forward is clear. Each step you take now is a step into a new reality, one defined by purpose, peace, and power. It's not about proving anything to them. It's about living your truth. The peace you carry is a light for others who are still caught in the web of control. Chosen one, you've seen it. You've felt it. You know the truth of who you are and what you're meant to do. This message was never about blending in or staying silent. It was about recognizing your power and using it to bring light to the world. If you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and comment, "I am chosen," to declare your place in this movement. Share this message with someone who needs it, because together we are stronger. And for full prophetic revelations daily, Join the membership through the link in the description. Your journey is sacred. Your path is clear. Now it's time to walk it boldly, to claim your freedom, and to live fully in the light you were always meant to shine.